Chapter 28. Christy O'Keepe was born in Tennessee to a mother who, after having succumbed to pleurisy, accompanied by a hectic fever when her child was only 5 years old, saw fit to take the name of her offspring's father with her to the grave. Consequently, Christy went to live with his widowed grandfather at a vast estate located on the outskirts of Nashville. The property once boasted a small private lake and the open space necessary for the raising of Newfoundland dogs, an enthusiasm that his grandfather had enjoyed all his life. However, it was one not to be confused with what some might seem to have called the overreaching passion he reserved for the accomplishment from which his fame and fortune had already been derived, namely, the revolutionary invention of the folding cardboard box. Being expected to follow in his grandfather's footsteps by assuming in due time the mantle of responsibility for the family's immense manufacturing concerns, Christy greatly disappointed the old man. After having completed an initially promising stint in the military, he went off to study art at the Pratt, and then, making matters only worse, pursued a second degree in, of all things, poetry at Princeton. Upon his having graduated magna cum laude from his class, Christy received from his grandfather, as a token of the man's not inestimable esteem, the least valuable runt of the latest litter. Delighted Christy promptly dubbed the puppy Lord Byron in homage to his favorite poet in the Romantic period. Lord Byron had been, after all, a well-known aficionado of the Newfoundland breed, having written "Inscription on the Monument to a Newfoundland Dog" in homage to his beloved boatswain. When the great dog had expired in a state of madness, and after much suffering, by Byron's own account, from rabies at the tender age of 5, the poet had fed the dog with his bare hands and wiped away the frothing drool, while seemingly oblivious to the very real danger of contracting the dread disease himself. Boatswain had then died in the Lord Baron's arms, after having been able to evince a moist, uncharacteristic love and loyalty from a man far better remembered by the world for his having left it well strewn with broken hearts. In a letter to a friend written afterward, Lord Byron had begun with the tragic lament, "Boatswain is dead," and had ended with the grim realization, "I have lost everything." In the year before his own untimely demise from fever at the age of 36, Byron would seem to have repeated his early outcry in the late poem entitled Aristemanes. The name of the new verse had most notably been changed, however, from that boatswain to the mighty Pan is dead. Surely the aggrieved poet had drawn the same conclusion by saying, "How much died with him?" It was not out of keeping with his own perhaps too romantic nature that Christy O'Keepe had fought, as well, to keep the mighty Pan alive in his own life by standing up unfailingly for the superiority of nature over the machine. It was in this spirit that Christy came to turn his back on his grandfather's lucrative manufacturing concerns and head west to make his own way. Having packed all his belongings into the brand new yellow VW Westphalia, he drove with Lord Byron across the country to California, where he was offered a teaching position at CalArts in Valencia. If the triumph of feeling over what some might refer to as common sense had been a hallmark of the Romantic period, so too had been an exaltation of the value of a solitary life spent in nature over that of a life spent in society, both concepts that Christy O'Keepe was predisposed to embrace wholeheartedly. Consequently, weekends often found him and Lord Byron departing from Valencia and driving up the coast to a small goat house his grandfather owned on a large property in Big Sur, happily listening to the strains of Jean-Paul Rampal's Suite for Flute and Jazz Piano all the way, and stopping only in Buellton for a bowl of soup and a glass of milk at Split Pea Anderson's. Christy and Byron would make the trek to Big Sur regularly. Once there, he would immediately break out his oils and brushes, set up his easel, and paint en plein air to his heart's content. Gradually, his love of the area grew to such an extent that he left his teaching position at CalArts and turned his attention fully to the paintings of the rugged south coast. This all took place, not coincidentally, around the time of his grandfather's passing. Having set aside his rancor in his final days, the old man had bequeathed to Christy not only his vast manufacturing concerns in the South, but the ownership of his property in Big Sur as well. Christy O'Keepe, having always felt most at home in the rustic goat house or in his faithful yellow BW Westphalia, made the several living quarters on his land available off and on to his fellow artists in need at the Carmel Art Association, where he served on the board of directors. In keeping with the precepts of the Romantic period that had staunchly championed the causes of the working classes, he likewise gifted his fellow employees at Nepenthe, where he continued for many years to come to roll up his shirt sleeves and serve as a dishwasher.